Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the second session of 2 of questions and answers. We talked about a very serious matter which is afflicting the Muslim community in Leicester. This started with obviously our young student from Leicester calling in with 2 questions, followed by our brother who also brought something to the conversation. So Jazakumullah khair. It's these type of topical points that we would like our viewers to call in for and get some guidance and get some understanding as to what our reaction should be. What should we be doing in these circumstances? Our Sharia, our religion gives us answers to all matters in all circumstances. It's just up to us to reach out in order to get that guidance, in order to get that information. Now that we've heard it, alhamdulillah, we can now share that with other parties and with other individuals. The number to call, ladies and gentlemen, is 01274 214299. That's 01274 214299. Please do get your call in nice and early like our young student did on the button literally when we started, which meant we could deal with his query and the follow-up nicely in that time scale. We obviously have about 15 or so minutes before we will be off air. So I would like somebody out there to call the number, or if you wish, to email. In the meantime, let me pick up some questions that I have received on our channel so we can then have that task complete as well. Where are we? Okay, there we are. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti Saab. I have a question with regards to child benefit, please. If a mother has saved her child's child benefit money to spend on the child when needed as he grows older, but the child dies, then who is the rightful owner of that money? If it's the mother, can she spend it or give to the charity, etc., as she wishes? Jazakallah khair. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The child benefit money, obviously, that is given to the parent in order to support the raising of the child. That's his purpose. So if the mother saved that money, then the question comes is, what was her rationale for saving that money? Because she must have used other money then for raising the child. She must have used some money, for instance, for feeding the child, for clothing the child, for paying the bill, whatever. So she must have used her own money. So what was her intention then by putting that money to one side? If her intention for putting that money to one side was savings for herself, as in I'm spending out my own and I will put the child benefit to one side, then it's her money. If, however, she had made the intention that this money, it belongs to my child, then it still belongs to the child. So if it still belongs to the child and the child dies before taking receipt of the money, then the money will be distributed according to the Sharia laws of inheritance. So the child obviously is still a child. So he, or in this case I think it's a he will share his money with his mother and his father, okay? Because they're the two that he will share his money with. So it really depends on what the situation is when that money was taken in receipt and saved by the mother. Assalamu alaikum, Sahab. If someone is thinking of getting married, can she ask the man to take an STD test so she doesn't catch anything from him in the future, and also so their children won't catch these diseases? Also, can women ask about his past sins and find out if he has taken drugs in the past or has ever been violent? Not for the purpose of being nosy, but to find out if he is suitable. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A woman can ask from a man before she marries him whatever she wishes. She can ask him to take the test. She can ask him about his past sins, particularly those which were done in open. I think to ask about sins that were done secretly, they should be avoided. But sins that were done in the open, they can ask that. But it's up to the man then to decide whether he wishes to answer them. He may choose not to answer them, or he may choose that I don't want to have a test and move on. So that's a risk, obviously, the lady takes, that if she's going to be so particular then the chances of finding a relationship, the chances of finding a potential spouse are going to be limited. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is drop shipping halal? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Drop shipping is not halal, and I've written a detailed fatwa. You'll need to search the group for that. Yeah, so drop shipping is where a person sells something which is not in their possession. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I had a question in regards to marriage. I've seen a lot of videos that men can marry Christians and Jews, people of the book nowadays. However, I can recall learning that the people of the book do not exist anymore, as nowadays Christians and Jews are wrong. So the one at the time of Isa Islam, you could marry them once, not the Christians or Jews nowadays. Just wanted to ask whether I was correct in what I remember learning or not. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear sister, there were no Muslims following the Prophet ﷺ at the time of Isa ﷺ in order to marry the Christians. At that time, the people who followed Isa ﷺ followed him correctly. It is only after his being taken up into the heavens that people became confused, and then they misunderstood what they had heard, because nothing was written down in his time, nothing was collated in his time, and it was done by the so-called apostle of Paul or others. And this was done many, many years after the Prophet Isa ﷺ had already been taken. And this is where the confusion came in, where they referred to Isa ﷺ as Father. Then they started to refer to him as the Lord. And then they referred to him as also the Son of God. And then they extrapolated from that Maryam was the mother of God. And this is where all the confusion came in. So in reality, one cannot say that at the time of the Prophet ﷺ was after Isa ﷺ. And at the time, after the time of the Prophet ﷺ, many 50 or so years after, Muslim men were marrying Christian women. And this was, 600, 700 years after Isa ﷺ. So a Christian who is practicing Christianity, not Protestantism, but the Catholicism or the, I forgot the other Christianity. You see it being practiced in Bethlehem. It's gone out of my head now. Particularly in Russia. I will find that name and I will send it to you. It's gone out of my head. But anyway, those who continue to have ritual acts of Christianity, not somebody who professes Christianity and has no ritual acts, very much similar to a person who professes to be a Muslim but has no connection with Islam whatsoever, not in belief or practice. So you can marry a Jew who is a practicing Jew, Orthodox Jew, and you can marry a Christian who is an Orthodox Christian. That one can do. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it was only, time gone by. Having said that, there are less people who are Orthodox, shall we say, or traditional. That's the same in Muslims. There are less people now that are, have Orthodox Aqidah, beliefs. Unfortunately, many of us have very strange beliefs now. So it won't be permissible to marry that person, even though they profess to be a Muslim. And that just about, I was about to say that just about covers all the questions on the ladies group, but it doesn't. There's one more. Assalamu alaikum. I'm new to this group, so apologies in advance for getting the process of asking a question wrong. I have a question around living with in-laws. Should the wife be providing for her in-laws? For example, spending from her own wealth and doing their grocery shopping. Or perhaps her husband gives her money and since she is out, her in-laws or husband asks her to do the grocery shopping for his family. Someone who I'm talking to with regards to marriage is requesting this of me. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The fact that the sister is asking this question means she's not happy with this request. The thing with marriage is that if we start becoming pedantic in what we can and can't do or what we should and shouldn't do, this will always lead to problems. In marriages, there's always give and take. Okay, it's like I always say, like in a football team, if the defender mourns, then that the striker, that the defender is having to score goals, then the striker mourns that he has to drop back to defend, then they're not operating as a team. They're each man for himself. Each person is looking at their own benefit. And if it benefits them, they do it. And if it doesn't benefit, then don't do it. So marriage should not be about what can I do, or what should I do, and what shouldn't I do. I think when it gets to that point, I think we're already a little bit selfish, and problems will come of it. I don't see anything wrong in a husband ringing his wife and saying, do you mind picking something up for my mum while she's out shopping? Very similar to if I was to ring my daughter, who's married, and say to her, oh, you know, Bache, where are you? And she says, oh, I'm at so-and-so superstore. Oh, fantastic. I need some eggs. Get me some eggs. She's not going to say, okay, from a Sharia perspective, can my father ask me, now that I'm no longer living in his house, to get some eggs for him? So, you know, if we start getting like that, then it's going to get pedantic. However, the fact that the question, if we look at it from a fiqh basis, that is a woman required to provide for her in-laws, then no. From a fiqh basis, she does not need to provide for her in-laws. That falls on her husband, the son of those parents. If those parents can fend for themselves, if they can provide for themselves, if they can look after themselves, then that is what they will do. But if they are in a dire situation where they cannot look after themselves, where they are in deep financial difficulty, then the children, whether they be male or female children, whether they be married or single, should collectively support those. It is not upon the daughter-in-law to do. However, again, if we're giving charity to complete strangers on the other side of the planet to help them, then does it really hurt to every now and then provide for our in-laws? Is it really that bad? When I used to visit my mother-in-law, I did not feel that, oh, I don't need to provide for her. I don't need to do anything for her. It's not my responsibility. Her husband, she used to spend quite a lot of time away in Pakistan. So whenever there was a job around the house, I'd do it for her. So I didn't think that, you know, oh, hold on, I shouldn't be doing this because I'm her son-in-law and it's not on me. But because I did it out of the kindness of my heart, the goodness of my heart. I wanted to put a smile on her face. So I think once we get this sort of selfish kind of thing, and also to balance this, obviously, it can also be abused by people as well, then I think we're entering into a difficult part in our relationships. So that's that done. That's all the ladies' questions answered. We do have some on the gents group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 probably questions on the gents group. But I am conscious of time, and time is telling me that I need to stop. Not that time can speak, but let's pretend that it can. It is telling me that it is soon time to wrap up and bring today's show to an end so that we may, inshallah, tomorrow finish off the week with any calls that we may get. Fridays tends to be a quiet day. Prove me wrong, people. And also we can deal with the half a dozen questions which are left on the gents group. I have a secret rendezvous with Maulana Asad Saab tomorrow at Jummah. He's going to come to the same masjid that I pray at, pray Jummah, and then we're going to go to a local school, as I understand it, not too far from Al Khair Foundation here in Bradford branch, which also is the studio for Iqra. I think it's just down the road, Manchester Road. And there is an assembly at 2:30, if I'm not mistaken, in which I think, I've not been given the brief yet, but I think the children have raised some money for the floods victims in Pakistan. So Maulana Asad wanted me to just say a few words. So he's going to pick me up, take me there. We're going to say a few words, and then we'll be back on our way back home because I need to get to madrasa then at 4:30 in order to teach, to then be back here at 7 o'clock, your Maghrib time, in order to then do my show at Friday evening, and then straight after that, it's off to the gym, which is what I'll be doing this evening as well. I've got another week left of my double shift, one visit to the gym in the morning and one visit to the gym in the evening. Next week is the last week. It was supposed to only be for 4 weeks, and then I had to extend it because of my visit to Philistine. It ended up being 5 weeks. And then my personal trainer took advantage of my enthusiasm and suggested that I do it for another couple of weeks. He did say I had a choice. He said, if you don't want to do it, you don't need to do it. But I thought, you know what, if I've done 5, he's asking for another 2, why not? Let's get these other 2 weeks out of the way, and then I can return to some level of normality where it's just one session during the day. It's amazing, isn't it, once you get into a routine that I didn't go to gym for like decades, and then I'm going twice a day. Crazy, eh? Anyway, on that crazy note, I wish you all well. Remember, it is Thursday, so please do, Friday night rather, so please do send durood upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. I will see you all being well tomorrow. Don't forget, make your ghusl, clip your nails, remove your unwanted hair, get some fine clothes and go for Jummah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.